And Darcel McBath will join us, corners coach, MSU, played for Mike Leach at Texas Tech, and then was drafted by the Denver Broncos in the second round of the NFL draft, and played for several years in the NFL. He's from Gainesville, Texas. He played with Jordan Shipley in high school. Buccaneers wide receiver. And Stephen McGee, former Dallas Cowboys backup QB.
Do you remember Jordan Shipley?
I do.
Played at Texas.
Yeah.
He was good.
What do you mean, do I remember
What?
Jordan Shipley? Just because I didn't remember,
You didn't remember Pete Alonso?
Pete Alonso with the New York Mets?
Oh, that was classic.
You loved that, didn't you?
It made me laugh really hard.
I loved it. I thought it was great. Did you see what I replied? How I replied to the New York Mets Twitter handle over the weekend?
Because everybody's doing that. When you see this logo, who do you think of?
Right.
And you put Pete Alonso. I commented. I was like, that's quality right there.
Well, let's set this up for our listeners real quick. So we had Jake Mangum in studio last Thursday, the Hit King, and he mentioned having Pete Alonso on his podcast, and I didn't know who that was. And I was like, who is that? Do you have it?
I do.
Okay, well, let's drop it.
It's been awesome. You know, Gardner Minshew, one of my best friends, came on the show. That was really cool just to be able to just hang out with him, who I'm close with, and just getting able to share his accomplishments.
Sure.
Man. It's cool. And then Pete Alonso, who's a great guy, I was able to meet in February. Great dude, came on the show.
The question you asked.
Now, what does he do?
What does he do?
He's
Am I supposed to know that?
He plays baseball. He's
Pete
from
Alonso.
Florida.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Now Jake's leaving.
Jake's so mad right now.
I have to be honest with you.
He won the
I'm a
Home Run
big
Derby championship last year.
I'm a big college baseball fan. I couldn't
yeah,
name 12 players in
That's
MLB.
so good. Well, he played at Florida.
Blake gives me hell because
Played at Florida.
I'll start naming players. I'm like Jeter,
He broke
A-Rod, and Blake's like, they don't play
He
anymore.
broke the rookie season home run record.
Gotcha.
He was
How
free.
many did he hit? I don't know.
53.
It's
I'd have to
a
go-
lot
That
of
was
home
great
runs.
radio, by the way.
He and Renfro were battling for the first half of the season for that home run race, and then
Oh,
he
okay.
just, Hunter did well, but Pete Alonso was a whole different animal.
Who does he play for?
The Mets.
Oh, he plays for the Mets. Sweet. Mangum is looking at, if you're watching the show, Mangum is looking at me like, what in the hell are you doing?
It's like, do you run a sports talk show?
It's not an MLB show, Blake, which is obvious.
I was on the floor. I was crying. I was laughing so hard. Oh, my God.
And I don't play fantasy baseball.
Oh.
I only have a fantasy football team, but I let somebody else run that.
It just worked out so well that not only Pete Alonso, not only did he play in the SEC, and he plays for the Mets, but you didn't ask, like, who is he or, like, who's he? You said, what does he do? Like, that was the greatest part. Was, what does he do?
Well, I wasn't sure if he was like a manager or a coach. Or,
Oh, my gosh.
I don't
And
know.
Jake's face. That video is on Twitter and Facebook and the Out of Bounds Sports page on YouTube, so you should go watch it because Jake's face, it's a perfect close. It was so perfect timed. The close-up on Jake's face of when you say, what does he do? And he pauses and looks at you like a dog that you show him a bone and then take the bone away.
real quick, let's go back to the New York Mets. What they tweet out, Blake, what does this logo who's the first player that comes to mind when you see this logo? So jokingly, I said Pete Alonso over the weekend. Obviously, the logo reminds me of Doc Gooden.
Darryl Strawberry.
I know most people, but I'm a Doc Gooden guy. So, but I get it. The Jackson Mets and all those dudes coming through. I could go Strawberry, but Gooden was just the dude. Struggled a little bit off the field. Well, that may be an understatement. All right, the Out of Bounds show on ESPN 105.9 The Zone is brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue, the official healthcare provider of the Out of Bounds show. We're also rolling on YouTube right now, so you can go to our YouTube channel and search Out of Bounds Sports. You can watch the show. And all of our guests join us on the Coors Light guest line. We want to welcome in cornerbacks coach Darcel McBath. Played DB at Texas Tech, second-round draft pick, into the NFL, and now he is on the Hail State coaching staff. Darcel McBath on the Out of Bounds show. Darcel, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, you guys.
Man, thanks for joining us. Excited to have you on. And so what was, all we talk about is, well, I just want you to know we talk a lot about Mike Leach and offense. You obviously played defense, and you had a heck of a career. And if people start to kind of peel back the layers, y'all had some feisty, good defenses at Texas Tech. Do you get like a weird look when you say I played defense at Texas Tech for Mike Leach, and people kind of like you're standing on your head because everybody associates offense with Leach?
Yeah, I don't think they even knew we had defenses back then. It's really funny. They say, "Oh, you play receiver." I'm like, "No, I played DB," and we were actually pretty darn good on defense. So a lot of people forget that, but I always remind them.
Now, what year, when you were playing at Texas Tech for Leach, what year did y'all have your best defense?
2008.
Okay. Is that the year y'all won like 10 or 11 games?
Yeah, that is the season.
Okay.
Won 11-1 in the regular season.
What was Ruffin McNeil your D coordinator?
Yeah, he was. He took over the year before, halfway through the season, and then he was the coordinator the entire season that 2008 year.
Okay. All right. Darcel McBath, corners coach, MSU, on the Coors Light guest line. You're listening to ESPN 105.9 The Zone. What was it like to go against the air raid all the time in practice?
It was fun and frustrating all at the same time. As a DB, you have no choice but to get better. You're seeing pass after pass after pass, and they're going to keep picking on you until you can make a play consistently. So, like I said, it was challenging, but by the end of my career, I guess maybe midway through, it was a ton of fun because every day you got to go out there and you knew you're going to get opportunities to make plays on the ball.
Sure. Okay, from a defensive perspective, why does the air raid work, Darcel?
Because it stretches you out. It forces you to defend everything, all parts of the field. There is no, and the best way that Coach Leach does it, there is no, you can't put them in a box. So on 3rd and 2, when someone else would be, 11 personnel running zone or running slice, running power or something like that, he's going to spread you out and make you defend everybody. It's quite unpredictable in that way.
Darcel McBath on the Out of Bounds show. Coach McBath, so when you're practicing against the air raid, walk me through 06, 7, 8. So we've had Graham Harrell on. We've had B.J. Simmons on. All right, talk to me. I like that laugh. Tell me something. What do I need to know?
Oh, nothing. Just good dudes, good guys, really good guys.
So who was the starter in that 08? I mean, I know about Kingsbury. I know about Harrell.
Mm-hmm.
We know about BJ and so on. Around that 08, 09 team, who was the starter? Do you remember?
Yeah, the QB was Graham. Graham was
Okay.
Our quarterback. Yep.
We really enjoyed having him on the show. Darcel, he's now out at Southern Cal. Blake, he joined us for like 30 minutes and hung out with us.
Yeah, Coach Harrell was fantastic. And actually, that brought up a great question now that we're going to bring you back to your glory days, Coach McBath. You had to cover, probably in practice, Michael Crabtree.
Ooh.
What was that like?
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, man, it was a battle. A lot of fun. Golly. One thing about Coach Leach, we do one-on-ones practically every day in the spring and in fall camp. So, man, we would have some freaking battles. I mean, it was a lot of fun. definitely helped improve my game, but I like to think I helped him improve his game too, because we would be out there battling. I mean, almost fighting to the point of frustration, but also a team getting better and everybody raising the level of competition, I guess is the best way to put it.
Crabtree, golly, going against him in practice.
Baller, man.
Who talks more smack, you or Mike?
Oh, I like this. McBath or Crabtree? Who talks more smack?
Oh, that's Mike didn't talk a lot of smack. Before he was subtle with it. He wouldn't let you know that he was the man, but he wouldn't talk too much. And I'm not a big smack talker. I just kind of prove with the way that I play. And my swag back then, but yeah, there wasn't a lot of smack talking, a lot of respect there, but Mike put his work in, and then he'd let you know about it very subtly.
Love it. Out of bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Darcel McBath played at Texas Tech and in the NFL. He's the corners coach at MSU for Mike Leach, and so you do the Texas Tech thing, and then you go to the NFL, and then you jump into coaching, and that's gone well, fast-tracked between the Pac-12 and the SEC. I know you haven't had an opportunity to work with any of your guys. Did you watch how much film or tape did you watch of last year? Because there are a lot of people around the program that believe that Jarian Jones and Martin Emerson are two guys that could be really, really special DBs, Coach McBath.
Yeah, I've watched every clip from last season probably 5 times in this quarantine. So those guys are extremely talented, extremely, extremely talented. But I think the thing that's going to separate those two are their mentality. They work their tails off, and they're tough. And that was very evident the first time I met them, going through midnight maneuvers, watching them work out with Coach Brown. They're tough, and that's what's going to separate them. Obviously very, very talented, but I think the sky's the limit for those two.
Coach McBath, speaking about toughness, you've coached at Washington State, and now you come to Mississippi State. Now, there are a lot of differences in those two, but there are probably some similarities. Can you speak to maybe what your time at Washington State and having to fight uphill in the Pac-12, how will that help you guys when you try to fight uphill in Starkville in the SEC?
Positionally, you got to get extremely creative, and you got to really evaluate your guys and see what they do the best and try and put them in those situations the most times as possible, and not asking them to do something that they can't do. I think being here, we obviously have some extremely talented guys, but I think having that mindset of always putting the guys in the best position and being creative with them, and not trying to put a square peg in a round hole will also help here.
Darcel McBath played at Texas Tech for Leach, then went on to the NFL, second-round pick. Kicked it off with the Denver Broncos. Now he's the corners coach at MSU. He joins us on the Coors Light guest line. So, KJ Costello, y'all land him in the offseason, and you had to face him. 2019 was riddled with injuries for him, but 2018 he was a heck of a player. What was it like to prepare for him, and describe him as a QB at Stanford, Coach?
Well, first he has to be extremely intelligent because they had 1 million plays, and he was checking and running that offense like clockwork. But really, really big arm, talented guy, tough, really tough kid. I think his will to win and the way he would attack games was very impressive to us. We got into some dog fights with him, and he never backed down. I think one came down to a field goal at the last second, and he led his team. But I think the thing that was most impressive to me was the last time we played him. How many times he aired it out. I mean, he was lighting us up and kind of picking us apart for the most part of the game, man. And that was a part of his game that I really hadn't seen up until that point. So he's a very versatile guy, and heck, we're excited to have him.
He can spin it. It's going to be interesting to see.
He can.
You guys land another older player, 6,000 plus yards in the Pac-12. I think 49 TDs. That worked out for y'all with Gardner Minshew, who's from here. It's going to be interesting to see how that looks over the summer and the fall. Darcel McBath played in the NFL, played at Texas Tech, had to guard Michael Crabtree in practice a good bit during his Texas Tech career, and he is the corners coach for Hail State and Mike Leach.
I got another question. I have so many questions for you,
hold on.
Coach McBath.
Let me ask him about Jordan Shipley first.
Oh, that's
all
a
right.
good one.
All right. So this guy. I mean, look, Darcel McBath played with Crabtree in college and played with Jordan Shipley in high school. What was it like to have Jordan Shipley as a teammate, Darcel?
Well, actually, we played against each other in the state championship.
Oh, against each other. Okay. So you had to cover him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good grief.
Basically the whole game. Yeah. It's fun time.
No,
it was hey, no, he was a monster. He really was. He's a really, really good player. And obviously so was I in high school, and that we played him in the state championship. McGee was his quarterback. He was the big time receiver. And man, we had a battle. They just replayed that state championship game the other day on YouTube, my hometown sports radio, and just watching it, man. He took back the opening kick, almost took back the second kick. Yeah, wow. I mean, he was lighting it up, man. He really was. He was a good player.
Did you think about going over to your coach?
Well, no. When it was 1-on-1, now it was locked down.
Okay, I no doubt about that. But did you ever think about going over to your coach and saying something like, "Hey, coach, let's stop kicking to Jordan Shipley"?
Yeah, about when he caught the ball up on that first one. I think my coach realized we made a mistake. Because I mean, he was flying, and nobody was within 15 yards of him.
Oh, good grief. Oh, man. All right, what was it? Danny Amendola was at Texas Tech while you were there too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Man, that dude could play too. What was it like to watch him in practice and watch him get better over time in Leach's offense?
Oh, man, he's unbelievable from day one. I think he was the only guy in our class, because we were all in the same class together, me, him, Graham, and some other guys, but he was the only guy who played as a true freshman. And, man, he came in day one and was lighting it up. I mean, I remember one of the first practices in fall camp, they ran a stretch play, and Danny was playing inside receiver, and how those linebackers flow, and he goes in and our senior linebacker, and he just flattens. I mean, knocked his helmet off. I mean, nearly decapitated the guy. And, that was one of my first memories of him. He's just a tough, gritty guy who got better and better over time.
Danny Amendola and Crabtree and Graham Harrell every day in practice, along with Mike Leach calling plays. Yeah. I bet that was just a ton of fun. He's Darcel McBath, corners coach at MSU, played at Texas Tech, second-round pick in the NFL. And Darcel joins us on the Coors Light guest line. Blake, you got another question?
Yeah, Coach, we're talking about receivers, and we've just mentioned a guy like Crabtree, big, tall, he's strong. You mentioned an Amendola, shifty, Jordan Shipley, a little bit shifty. When you're a DB, do you, I know you maybe not personally, but when you talk to your DBs or coach, do you, have, like, preferences on how you want to cover different guys, or is there one that's harder to game plan for than the other, i.e., would you rather game plan against one big guy on the outside or a shifty dude that's all over the field, lining up slot, tight, all these different things, and is more of that shifty small guy?
Well, I think if for DV, you always want the big, slow guy. But yeah, you have to game plan differently for everybody. You can't use the same techniques for two different guys. So that's something we do specifically. We have a list of techniques that we can use, and then we kind of go through and say, hey, with these guys, with the bigger guys, these are only two we're going to use versus the smaller guys, these are only two we're going to use. Because if you don't do that, you're setting yourself up for failure because you're getting different. They're going to run the routes differently. They play differently. One's probably going to be a little bit quicker than the other. And their route trees are a lot different also. So the routes you will be covering will be different, so you'll need different techniques for that.
Darcel McBath, Coach McBath on the Coors Light guest line. What was your initial reaction once you got to Starkville and had an opportunity to see the football facility and the other facilities?
Man, I was impressed. I mean, it was huge. I mean, I don't know if I've ever been in a facility that big or that nice. I mean, it's very, very impressive. I guess the welcome to the SEC kind of moment walking into that building. So, yeah, they've done a good job over there.
And I want to go back to something that we were talking about a few minutes ago with you going up against Jordan Shipley in high school and Stephen McGee, who eventually was a backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Your team won that game. Is that right?
Oh, yeah. We didn't lose the game. we didn't lose. We didn't lose. We barely let people score, but.
Well, one of our listeners wanted to know, evidently I didn't ask the right follow-up question, so they wanted to know after you mentioned that Jordan Shipley took the kickoff back and almost took another one back, who won the game, but your team won the game. That's impressive. Blake?
Coach, I can tell you have a chip on your shoulder about defense, which I love. I think that's important because you've come from Texas Tech where, as you said, you come from a school where they say y'all didn't play defense. You went to a conference where everybody says they don't play defense. What do you have to say to people who may say, hey, you've never played on or coached a defense like in the SEC? Is that something that do you feel like you need to defy people who don't believe that you can coach in the SEC, or that the defense here in the SEC is different than where you've been before?
Well, I think the offenses were different, were more different than what we had in the Big 12. I think anytime you're building a team, your offense and your defense have to fit each other. And when you're run it first offense, you're going to have a run it first mindset of a defense. So you're not facing the same kind of plays or the caliber of plays that we would face in the Big 12, and it's just different.
Sure.
Not any worse. I mean, we played good defense. I mean, I thought we had a pretty good defense to win 11 games and do some good things. And you're right. In a lot of ways, you got a chip on your shoulder. You're always defending it. But I think when you go watch the tape, we play good defense. I just think the style of offenses is different.
Darcel McBath on the Out of Bounds Show. Coach McBath, we appreciate it. We'll catch up again soon. You're listening to ESPN 105.9 The Zone.